So I gained a total of 9 pounds during my pregnancy. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. So in my society, it's just generally accepted that women are supposed to gain a ton of excess weight while they're pregnant, and it's so unnecessary. The average person will gain 30 to 40 pounds when they're pregnant of excess weight. This is not the baby weight and the placenta and the fluids and all that. This is additional excess weight. Gaining too much weight while you're pregnant is just as unhealthy as gaining too little. So I'm going to give you 4 strategies that help me maintain and even lose weight while pregnant safely. It's generally accepted that losing weight while pregnant can be harmful for your baby, so make sure you're talking to your physician before you go through with any of these tips. So what happened to me in the beginning of my pregnancy was very embarrassing. I went from like 140 to 154, 56 pounds practically overnight during my first trimester. So I had to act quickly because the direction I was going in was very unhealthy. So I decided to, number 1, remove the oil from my diet. Now this included all processed foods practically. So that was also very conducive to weight loss. But oil in and of itself is so unhealthy. It's like the biggest scam that people are downing tablespoons of olive oil on their salad and eating loads of coconut oil. It just does not make sense. This is not a natural food. It's a highly, highly refined food. It's liquid fat. It's like the carbohydrate is to sugar or the protein is to isolated protein powder. It is the liquid oil of the fat world. It's literally the highest calorically dense food in our food supply, or on the planet for that matter. I think it's like the equivalent or near the equivalent of whale blubber. So think about that next time you're gonna pour some oil on your salad. Oil is in everything. All processed foods pretty much have oil. It helps to increase the shelf life. It increases the taste and the mouthfeel, the texture. Manufacturers use it for many different reasons in their food. That does not mean you should be consuming it. Just because you can eat it doesn't mean you should. Especially oil. It's 120 calories per tablespoon. That is a ridiculous amount of caloric density for something that has next to zero nutrition. When you think about it, what is olive oil? You're taking an olive, a perfectly healthful food, and you're removing the water, you're removing the fiber, you're removing the vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals, the antioxidants, until you have what? The fat. You even remove the carbohydrate and the protein. Why would you want to consume something that is so devoid of nutrition, but will provide such a high amount of fat? It does not make sense, and it certainly does not make sense if you're trying to lose weight. So my second tip goes along with the first tip, and it's just to remove the remaining processed foods, particularly those with salt, sugar, or oil. So these are literally the majority of our food supply at the moment. So any of those convenience foods, pretty much anything in a box, bag, or can that has a super long nutrition label, just don't. It's going to help you and your baby out to an extent that will benefit you for years and years to come. These are not foods. They are processed food particles, and they have been perfectly engineered in a way that is going to trigger your senses in such a way to make you want to consume more and more and more and more. It is not natural, it is not healthy, and it will lead to overconsumption. Salt and sugar are detrimental for weight loss, particularly because of their ability to trick your satiety mechanisms into thinking that you've had more calories than you actually have, or thinking that you've had less calories than you've actually consumed. So you will continue feeling hungry long after you've eaten, regardless of the amount that you eat, because they trick those satiety mechanisms. And they also release dopamine in the brain, making you crave more. So my third tip is to remain active. I know this is challenging as a new mom. I wasn't very satisfied with this portion of the video when I was editing, so I wanted to make sure to give you guys 100% in something that I think is so important. You are going to be able to maintain and do this with such greater ease if you are incorporating just some physical activity. And I know this sounds horribly daunting because being pregnant is going to be a time in your life where you are by far the most exhausted, the most tired, and the most fatigued. So my strategy specifically was to just keep going. It did not matter how tired I was, how much I just wanted to lay down. Even up until the week I gave birth, I was in the gym. I'm not suggesting you have to do this. I'm just trying to motivate you to stay active on some level because it's so important for you and your baby to continue getting that oxygen and all those nutrients flowing through your body and all the toxins being released in such a healthy manner. So swimming was my go-to, and I would do laps for about an hour most days of the week, and I would never push myself. I never got to the point of complete exhaustion. It was a very leisurely swim, and it felt so good to hop in the pool and get the weight off of my joints, and I feel so buoyant in the water after carrying around that 6-pound, 1-ounce baby. So beyond swimming, I made sure to maintain my strength training exercises. Now, this is controversial because we have been taught for so long that you should not be lifting while you're pregnant, and you have to be so careful with how you utilize your body and your mechanics. And that's true, but you don't have to be so soft. Basically, what my doctor explained and my midwife and what I researched online was basically that you can sustain your normal workout as long as you started that workout prior to getting pregnant. So whatever level of fitness you're at, when you get pregnant, that's where you want to stay. You don't want to go any higher. You can certainly go lower if you feel the need, but just know that you are totally capable of maintaining the type of exercise that you desire and that you strive to maintain. I did go down in weights with certain exercises when I could feel that my body was experiencing too much strain, especially in the abdominal area. So there were also certain exercises that I had to give up, like the prone hamstring curls. That was a no-go with a big pregnant belly. So stay consistent. That's my biggest tip here. Just keep moving. And if you feel you absolutely cannot do anything that day, just get up and go for a walk. I promise it'll make you feel better inside and out, and your baby will thank you for it. I would also recommend keeping some sort of weight training routine in there too. I typically do like upper body on a certain day, and then I'll do lower body exercises on the next day and do at least 8 to 12 different exercises and make sure you're hitting all the major muscle areas. So I'll do like biceps, triceps, shoulders, pecs, shoulders, and back. And then on alternating days, I'll do abs, quads, glutes, hamstrings, and you're going to be exhausted after that, but it's so worth it. And just start light if you're not used to it. There are tons of online classes and instructors that are even free. So just look around and, you might find something you really enjoy. And the fourth thing I want to mention is intermittent fasting. Now, this is very controversial when it comes to pregnancy because obviously you need to get in those additional calories, which is not much, by the way. You don't need to increase your caloric intake until your second trimester, which is only a 200 calorie bump. This is like 2 bananas. In the third trimester, you're only going to increase that by another 100 calories. So you can see where this is going. It's just very minimal additions to your already healthy diet. So as long as you're hitting your caloric needs and your nutrient needs on a regular basis, which is easily done by eating a variety of healthy plant-based foods, then you should have no problem intermittent fasting. I would typically fast from about 3-ish 3:30 in the afternoon until the next morning around 7, 8 o'clock. And that is a perfect amount of time, as long as you're eating those highly satiating, slow burning vegan foods. Particularly beans have a certain resistant starch in them that continue burning for hours and hours after you eat them. So they are particularly conducive to weight loss, and they keep you feeling satiated. So on average, you want to fast about 12 to 16 hours, 18 if you really want to push it, but you have to be careful because that leaves you very little time to get in your calories. So if you're only eating 6 hours a day, you might only be getting in 2 meals. So you need to make those meals count. You need to be very deliberate and intentional about the nutrition that you're putting into these meals. So I would even discuss this with either your doctor or a dietitian if necessary. Or a chronometer online is very helpful. You can put in your exact foods for the day and it will give you the output of each of the breakdown of the nutrients and your calories, your macros, your micros, all that good stuff. So again, remove the oil, remove the processed foods, light exercise every day, and intermittent fasting as an extra tool to keep in your toolbox. As someone who gained a ton of weight in their first trimester, I totally understand your need to be researching this topic because it is so uncomfortable and you feel so vulnerable as a woman with this ever-changing body, and your hormones are all crazy, and the last thing you need to worry about is maintaining a healthy weight. So I hope these tips were helpful. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up to tell YouTube to show it to other mamas. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.